Well, right after La Bamba came Stand and Deliver, starring Edward James Olmos, who plays a math teacher named Jaime Escalante in East L.A., who teaches the students AP Calculus. And you played the co-star, essentially a Cholo gangster from East L.A. Once again, you're playing a Mexican.
Yeah. Yeah, and, but once again, I was the choice of Edward James Olmos and Ramon Menez, the Cuban director, So, and once again, because I had no relation to, Cholo lifestyle or culture, I ended up, riding around with some real gang members for a few weeks, just sort of absorbing it and learning it. What's amazing is that the guy that I was riding around with was Danny Villarreal, who was at the time a production assistant. And that movie, by the way, was done for KCET, public broadcast, PBS in Los Angeles, with less than $1 million budget. And when it did the festival circuit, it got picked up by Warner Brothers and became a massive success. But it was a little film when we started. And so Eddie approached it very theatrically, and we had a week's long, rehearsal, doing rewrites, and a lot of the cast had never acted before. And so it was a great way to not only bond everybody, but give, all the young actors confidence going into filming. But they hadn't quite found the guy to play Chuco. And it was Eddie. One day we were sitting there, rehearsing the scene, and the auditions hadn't gone well for that role. And he said, Danny had been driving me around and showing me places where he almost got shot and where a buddy of his got killed or where they robbed the convenience store. All of this stuff, And it was Eddie that said, hey, come here, read this with Lou, And it just clicked. And that's how Danny ended up in the movie.
Well, I love the movie, by the way.
Thank you.
And I've never told the story before until now. But here's how this movie affected me. At the time that I watched it, I was in AP chemistry class. And I did not get along with my teacher. And after class, we got into an argument. And I remember the scene in the movie where you argued with Edward James Olmos and you flipped the table over.
Yeah.
So I decided to flip the table over myself, right?
Oh, man, I'm a bad influence.
Unlike you, that was essentially forgiven and, did the next scene, my teacher gave me an F for the class, which ended up affecting my overall GPA. Mm-hmm. So it affected my college admissions. So I had to essentially push back my admissions by 6 months, and I eventually got into UC Berkeley. But the moral of the story is, don't copy what you do in movies because there's actual real consequences in real life.
I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. You know what? 30 years later here, let me publicly apologize for, my contribution to your delinquency.
Well, this movie was really applauded. Almost got nominated for Best Actor.
Eddie did get nominated. Eddie got nominated for Best Actor at the Academy Awards. He was the only one that didn't. That did. It was kind of sad because we won 7 Independent Spirit Awards, which are a really big deal now. Best Picture, Eddie won Best Actor. Rosanna won. I won. Eddie and I were both nominated for Golden Globes. And I thought I was on the track to get nominated, for that film. I didn't do any campaigning. I didn't, go out there and do any of that stuff. I was young and didn't know what it took, to be, honest, the amount of face time it took. And so, Eddie got nominated, which was, fantastic, especially for such a little film. I think today, and even today, La Bamba, which didn't get nominated for anything, might be recognized by the Academy differently.